Okay, guys, sorry for the delay. Something wrong with my phone, so I'm going to be working on AJ's tablet with him. We're going to be recording this meeting today so that the people that didn't attend will be able to watch it online. We don't have the patrol leader and assistant patrol leader here today. So, Tristan, how about you be the acting patrol leader to get us started? Okay. You're going to need to pick out people to do the, first of all, let me explain to you guys the way my voice sounds. Back in November, I started going hoarse, and I went to see the doctor and got it analyzed. And there was a growth on my voice box, vocal cords. Vocal cords are like this. And there was a growth on one. And in December, I had an operation and they cut the growth out. So I don't have two full vocal cords now. And it's not going to get better. So I'm going to continue sounding like a pirate. If you can't understand something I say, let me know and I'll try and say it again. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, Tristan, who is going to do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Max. Max will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Can't hear you, Tristan.
He said Max. Max will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, Max. Max, do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Signs up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Tristan, who's next? Scout Law.
For Scout Law, it's going to be Cammy.
Cammy.
Signs up. A scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent too.
Okay, Tristan, the Scout Oath.
For the Scout Oath, it will be Max.
Max. Did you say Max?
Yes, Max.
Okay, he just did one, right? Gab, where's your video?
I mean that Gabriel, because for some reason his video's off.
Tristan, you got to really speak close to the microphone.
Yeah, Gabriel, because his camera's turned off.
Gabriel, do the Scout Oath and turn on your video. Gab. Okay, I don't have a video on Gab. Okay, Philip, go ahead. You do the Scout Oath. Philip.
Signs up. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty and to guard my country.
Sorry, were you calling me?
And to obey the Scout Law.
Our connection just went out and I'm using it.
Thank you, Philip. Okay, Gab, put your video on. Gab. Yeah, good. Keep it like that. Okay, Gab, you do the outdoor code.
My video's on, sir.
Okay, good. Now do the outdoor code. Can you hear me?
You guys are glitching on the voice because our connection went out and I'm using data.
Can you see the screen, Sharon?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, then do the outdoor code.
Okay. Scout sign. Outdoor code. As an American, I will do my best to be clean in my outdoor manners. Be careful with fire. Be considerate. Be considerate in the outdoors and be conservation minded too.
Okay. I'd like to welcome some new guys that are here today. I don't recognize all of the names of the older Boy Scouts, and I'm not sure who's an older Boy Scout or one of the new guys that's been invited. Could you help me out, Ed? Go ahead and introduce me if you could.
Yeah. We do have a new scout on. Carl is the name is showing Thomas Barr. That's his dad. But Carl, he was online. I think you should. I get everybody. And then you have Jefferson. Jeff is going to be the new patrol leader of the other patrol. And then JC's online. He's an older scout. And then Kevin is online, and he's going to probably help be the troop guide and be working helping Jimmy and Ethan and the young new patrol, the Black Alphas, I believe it is. That's all I'm seeing right now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, guys, some news of, okay, Tristan, where is your video? Tristan,
Sorry, I didn't know it was off.
Kevin, your video, leave the videos on. Okay, guys, here's some news of what's going on. Scoutmaster John has stepped down from his position. The new Scoutmaster is Jacob Cahones, who lives in Manila. And so it's hard for him to get here all of the time on Saturdays because he runs a business there. I'll be filling in for the next few weeks. For you guys that don't know me, I was the guy, my name is Rick, and I was the guy that did the Cub Scouts for the last 4 years. The meetings, until it changes in the future, will be at 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings, just like it is today. And don't be late for our meetings, please. We'll try and keep the meetings to 1 hour. We'll try and make it interesting for you. I would appreciate it if you don't type messages and doodle on the screen when we're presenting stuff. If you have a question, we'll give you a chance after the videos or whenever to ask your question so that you don't misunderstand something. Next slide, please. Okay, let's get to work. For you guys that are the new scouts rank, I've got a schedule for your classes for Tenderfoot, and it will take about 12 weeks. A Tenderfoot, as with the other ranks, includes physical training, some work with knots, first aid, public service stuff, religious events, and we'll be doing a virtual camp out. Now, just a second. Let's see. I can't see the date. Just a minute. Who can tell me the date of the virtual camp out? can tell me the date on the slide? March 27th is the date right now for the virtual campout. Now that may change because the Philippine government is looking at lifting some of the restrictions. And if that changes, then we'll get with you, of course, and let you know what we're going to do. Next slide, please. Also on February 27th, we'll be doing the first merit badge for the Scout rank guys, and also we'll be inviting anybody who doesn't have that merit badge from the two troops, so you can participate. Fingerprinting merit badge takes about an hour to an hour and a half, and you'll be finished with it. And Mr. Sean is a retired military policeman, so he'll do an outstanding job with the class. We'll get with you with more details as we get closer. Next slide. All right, now we're going to watch some videos. And if you have a question on this video, you can ask at the end of it. This particular video is 17 minutes and 43 seconds. If you go to page 442 in your scout book, the video is going to talk about all those things required for Tenderfoot to give you an overview so you have an idea of what we're going to do during the next 12 weeks. Later today, I will send a copy of the schedule to you or your parents so that you have an idea of what's going to be going on. Now, you're going to have to listen closely to this video because it's not real loud.
Okay, like what Mr. Rick said, you're gonna have to turn up your volumes for this because the sound on it isn't very loud. In fact, all the videos won't be as loud as they were before because I'm not using a computer. Okay.
Now, Tenderfoot is the second rank out of the 7 ranks in Scouting, and assuming you already have Scout rank, you should already know some of the basic things or basic rules of Scouting. Hey guys, Matt Guzman here, back with another video, and instead of doing a merit badge video, this is going to be different because this video is how to earn the Tenderfoot rank, and this just touches upon basic skills that you should know in your Scouting career. And since this is leaning towards more like doing things instead of memorizing things, here's some tips to get you started. Don't overcomplicate these requirements because these are like basic fundamental skills of Scouting. They shouldn't be too hard as long as you're keeping on top of things. Keep in mind your responsibility. This is not like Cub Scouts where you have the adults telling you exactly what you need to do. You should be looking yourself to see what you need to complete and motivating yourself in order to complete the requirements. You can work together on requirements too. You shouldn't be like doing these alone or like grueling yourself over getting them done. Have fun and work with others. Also, this is very important, use a binder or folder to organize stuff, like things in general, papers, meal plans, permission slips, notes, anything, organize them in some way. And one more, the back of the scout book has logs for activities like camping, hiking, service hours. Keep those logs updated and complete requirements in a timely manner. For me, because I did not complete them in a timely manner, it took me almost 2 years to get Tenderfoot because, well, mainly because I quit scouting, but when I came back, I got Tenderfoot, and it took a while for me. It really shouldn't take that long, maybe a couple months or so. And the scout book is an important tool, so use it, read it, and understand the material, because it really helps. I've read through the entire thing like maybe 3 times, I don't know. So let's get right into the first requirement. 1A, present yourself to your leader prepared for an overnight camping trip. Show the personal and camping gear you will use. and show the right way to pack and carry it. So you don't have to do these in order. They're just like what you actually they're just requirements in like an ordered manner, but you don't actually have to complete all of them in order. Except there's an exception, but I'll cover that at the end. But this one, you need to know camping in general beforehand. And now there's pages in the book in your camping section, and it gives you a checklist of what you need to pack. So I followed that when I was packing and when I was doing this requirement, because it really helped in figuring out what I needed to bring for it. And also it's good to follow along anyway, because these are the basic things you need during a camp out, especially if you're trying to like fit it all in your backpack, which is probably wise if you're going to carry the backpack around. 1B says to spend at least one night on a patrol or troop campout and sleep in a tent that you have helped pitch. Now, you don't have to set it up by yourself, but since you're starting out, you do have to understand how the tent works and pitch it yourself, and you also have to sleep in it. But the main thing is knowing how to set up the tent and getting used to doing it, especially when you're packing it up. Getting it to fit in the bag is always the hardest part for newbies. 1C says tell how you practice the outdoor code on a campout or outing, and assuming that you've done the scout rank, you should know what the outdoor code is. Basically, it's like a guideline on how you should treat yourself and how you should treat nature in the outdoors. Moving on to number 2. 2A says on the campout or on a campout, assist in preparing one of the meals from the meal plan. Tell why it is important for each patrol member to share in meal preparation and cleanup. So I think this requirement is a really good one, because not only does it teach you how to cook, but it also has you talk to other people to learn from them and assist in the cooking so you feel as part of the troop. And getting this done means you can learn from other people and apply what you've learned to a task at hand. 2B says while on a campout, demonstrate an appropriate method of safely cleaning items used to prepare, serve, and eat a meal. And this doesn't directly say it, but I really think it's important to understand those methods of safely cleaning and why it's important to keep tools and stuff cleaned, and for sanitary reasons as well, and to understand how it helps in meal preparation. 2C says to explain the importance of eating together as a patrol. 3A says to demonstrate a practical use of the square knot. So, this was kind of, you already had to know these in the scout rank, and if you were in Weeblos, you also had to learn knots, but this is demonstrating, like, the putting it into use. The square knot is one of the most recognizable knots because of how simple it is and its practical use of tying two ropes together of equal width. Now, you also have to demonstrate a practical use of the two half hitches, and demonstrate a practical use of the taut line hitch. And learning a bunch of knots can be hard, but eventually you won't need to think about it, because the muscle memory from doing it so many times will just be there to where you can just do the knots whenever you're in a position that you need to use it. And the last one for 3D says to demonstrate proper care, sharpening, and use of the knife, saw, and axe, and describe when each should be used. Now, this kind of falls in line to something called a Totin Chip, which is what you need to get the permission to handle the knife, axe, and knife. But if you're doing it for requirements, you need to have the adults with you supervising. But these basic skills that you learn in those using, or in the usage of those, it helps in understanding what the Totin Chip is. It's also a separate reward, and it's not really required, but it is cool to have it, because then you can carry a knife with you, and you can like chop wood on campouts and stuff using an axe. But if you have to understand the safety first before using any of those, so it's important that you understand this requirement and how to safely take care of the items. Now, moving on to number 4. 4A is an important requirement in my opinion, because it appears many times throughout your scouting career. 4A says to show first aid for the following: simple cuts and scrapes, blisters on the hand and foot, minor thermal and heat, burns or scalds, bites or stings of insects and ticks, venomous snake bites, nosebleeds, frostbite and sunburn, and choking. Now, first aid, not only does it show up everywhere, but it's also a merit badge. And not only is it a merit badge, but the first aid requirement here, it's kind of interchangeable in other awards, like other merit badges and other, like, if you don't know what a merit badge is, don't worry about it for now. It's not important for the Tenderfoot requirement, but just know that requirements like these that I think are important, they apply to other awards that you can get. So it's important that you know it because it might be interchangeable among other things. And it's first aid in general, so it's very important to know first aid. 4B says to describe common poisonous or hazardous plants. Identify any that grow in your local area or campsite location. Tell how to treat for exposure to them. 4C says to tell what you can do while on a campout or other outdoor activity to prevent or reduce the occurrence of injuries or exposures listed in Tenderfoot requirements 4A and 4B. And with all the knowledge from requirement 4, assemble a first aid kit to carry with you in future campouts and hikes. Tell how each item in the first aid kit would be used. Again, this is basic first aid, and you should know and understand how each of the items work and how you would use them. And keep in mind, it says to assemble a personal first aid kit. And you're not supposed to just buy a first aid kit. You're actually supposed to pick items out, or like you could have multiple first aid kits or something like that, and just pick out a few items from each and make your own. So that's what I did. I had a personal first aid kit from different items that I thought would be helpful to have in a first aid kit of mine. This is just so you understand like the importance of first aid, and so you understand how to actually do first aid. Moving on to requirement number 5. 5A says to explain the importance of the buddy system as it relates to your personal safety on outings and in your neighborhood. Basically, for the buddy system, wherever you're going, you need to have someone with you, another scout or a buddy, to make sure that you don't get hurt. And it's just a basic rule that I think a lot of people don't recognize how important it is to follow. Use the buddy system while on a troop or patrol outing. 5B says to describe what to do if you become lost on a campout or a hike. This is kind of important, especially because it's super easy to get lost, especially if you're like a newbie or if it's your first time on a campout. A basic tip, don't stray from the group, pay attention, and keep with whoever you're supposed to be with. 5C says to explain the rules of safe hiking, both on the highway and cross country, during the day and at night. So at this point, if you're new, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, this is a lot to know. Like, how am I supposed to do this? You can seek help from other people. You can work with other scouts, work with adult leaders, and again, most of this stuff is actually in the scout book. You just look in the sections and read a little bit, and it's really easy. Well, not easy because you have to put some effort into it, but it's a basic way of getting this information. And speaking of that, take a breather. You're halfway through the rank. These next requirements need like planning ahead of time. You can't really just do them. You have to either coordinate with your troop or you need to plan in advance on how you're going to do these requirements. And also, they need commitment on your part. You can't just slack off on these next requirements. Stay organized and be consistent. Keep track of everything that you do. That's like pertaining to taking notes of what you've done in a meeting or writing something down for what you want to do. Just in general, make sure you're staying on top of things. So, with that being said, 6A, again, I think it's an important requirement. It involves commitment. 6A says to record your best in the following test: push ups, sit ups or curl ups, back save or sit and reach, and a 1 mile walk or run. So just do your best in each of these and record what you get. And then once you do that, here's some tips that I have when you're starting this off. Either go to a track or a field and plan out an activity somewhere, like at a park or, those places. Just plan it out in advance of where you're going to do it. And have other scouts participate with you so you can all help each other improve on whatever you've gotten before and what you're working towards. Because 6B, when you're taking responsibility for completing this requirement, 6B has you to develop and describe a plan for improvement in each of the activities listed in Tenderfoot Requirement 6A. So your responsibility is being committed to this improvement. And keep track of your activity for at least 30 days. And I put a little note there, make a chart or a document for your progress and keep it in your binder. So you need to make sure you're on top of this and keeping it. It's okay if you miss a day or few, but if you go like an entire week without doing anything, you're probably going to have to redo the requirement, which is what happened to me. I had to redo this like twice. So 6C Again, it involves commitment, show an improvement of any degree in each activity listed in Tenderfoot Requirement 6A after practicing for 30 days. And again, those are push-ups, sit-ups or curl-ups, backstaver sit and reach, and 1 mile walk or run. For instance, when I did this requirement like almost 2 years ago, I had 20 push-ups, and then 30 days later, I had 30 push-ups. 7. Demonstrate how to display, raise, lower, and fold the American flag. This is important just out of respect because you need to really know how to handle the American flag correctly. So out of the many times I've been to a La Noche, I've been tasked quite a few times to do the actual flagpoles. This isn't actually me here, but it shows the proper procedures of clipping it and everything. And you don't need to have something fancy to get this requirement, but you do need to understand the correct, like how you're supposed to fold it, how you're supposed to unwrap it. Basic things like don't let the American flag touch the floor. And it's really important, especially in a setting like this where eyes are on you, and if you mess up, people are going to notice it. So you don't have to make everything perfect, but at least follow the basic guidelines for giving respect to all the flags. And of course, demonstrating it. 7B says to participate in a total of 1 hour of service and one or more service projects approved by your Scoutmaster. And explain how your service to others relates to the Scout slogan and Scout motto. Now, this is one thing you'll probably have to ask either your SPL, which is the scout in charge of your troop, or an adult leader on coordinating a service project or some type of service. For example, a plan that my troop had was to put down mulch at the church that charters us, and while doing that, since I was the oldest at that time, they let me drive the golf cart around, so it was a pretty cool win-win. So we were transporting the mulch to and from this giant pile we had, and then we took it over the golf cart to another pile. And any type of service, as long as you plan it, will easily get this requirement done. Coordinating it with your troop, it's really easy to just do the service and get it organized. Moving on to number 8, describe the steps in scouting's EDGE method. This is, in my opinion, one of the most important things, learning EDGE, because EDGE stands for explaining, demonstrating, guiding, and enabling. And this is teaching others a skill, but I apply it to teaching anyone in general, because you need to explain whatever you're trying to teach them, and then for visual learners, demonstrate the steps on how to actually do it, and then guide them as they're practicing and enable them to succeed on their own. So I think it's super important, especially because 8 has you practice it by using the EDGE method to teach another person how to tie the square knot. Moving on to number 9, demonstrate Scout spirit by living the Scout oath and Scout law. And you're just supposed to tell how you've done your duty to God and how you've lived 4 different points of the Scout law in your everyday life. And just saying, it's probably better not to just choose the 4 easiest because you will have to do this requirement again for other ranks. So maybe choose 2 hard ones and 2 easy ones of the Scout Law, and just choose 4 points and explain how you've lived by those 4 points in your everyday life, and relate that back to the Scout Oath as well. Now, number 10. This was the exception I was talking about earlier, where you can't just do this one. You have to complete requirement 7 first. It says, while working towards the Tenderfoot rank and after completing Scout rank requirement 7, participate in a Scoutmaster conference, which you've done before in the Scout rank, where you're just talking to your Scoutmaster on how you've done so far. This one is different. Successfully complete your board review from the Tenderfoot rank. And if you're new to scouting, basically, in a board review, scout leaders ask questions about your progress in your scouting career, review what you've done, and they ask how you've accomplished certain things. I'm not going to go really into in depth of this, but that's just an overview of how a board review usually goes, or at least from my experience. And that was a lot, but if you've been following along, this is the end of the Tenderfoot rank. So thank you for watching my video on how to earn the Tenderfoot rank. I really hope it was helpful, and if you enjoy the video, please like it, share it to other scouts who may have trouble working on this, and make sure to turn on notifications on my channel, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye! And the last one for 3, demonstrate proper care, sharpening, and the use of the axe, saw, and act. Now, Tenderfoot is the second.
Okay. Next slide. Okay, guys, what we're going to do now is listen to this 2-minute video about the exercise program that takes 30 days to complete at a minimum. Now, from what I remember, right, when you guys were doing an exercise program as Weeblos, it took you much longer than the 30 days was programmed. What I recommend to you is you do the exercise program 3 days a week. Now, remember, Tenderfoot's going to take 12 weeks. If you do the exercise program 3 days a week, like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, it'll take you 10 weeks to complete the exercise program. But you need to stick with it. You can't take a week off and expect to catch up. There's some things you're going to have to do that we'll talk about later to get ready for the exercise program. Let's watch this video first.
What's up, Troop 113? It's Sierra Pulizotto. I'm going to be going through Tenderfoot requirements 6A, B, and C. So today we'll be going through the different types of workouts you'll have to be doing for this requirement, which would be 1 minute of push-ups, 1 minute of sit-ups or curl-ups, a sit and reach to see how much distance you can get, and then a 1 mile walk or run. Today I'm going to show you what a proper push-up, what a proper sit-up, what a proper curl-up, and how to do a sit and reach at home. So let's jump right into it. First, I should get into some more athletic clothes. Alright, this is a proper push-up. You can see my arms are straight, they lock out at the top, they get down to parallel, and my back stays straight. Now you can see I'm going to be showing a proper sit-up. My hands are on my head, my feet try not to move. If this doesn't work out for you, you can either do the curl-ups, or it's not suggested, but you can always put your feet under a couch or in a doorway or something like that, just to boost yourself a little bit. Just remember what variation you do. If you do curl-ups or sit-ups, or if you put your feet under, just make sure you do that in the second set after your 30 days. Now these are curl-ups. They kind of just look like crunches, but you keep your hands down and against the floor as you do them. The back saver sit and reach. You can see my leg is bent, and I have my own sit and reach box. I looked it up. You attach a ruler at 7 inches, and you measure your third attempt. Here are some modified push-ups. So if you can't complete a regular push-up, you can use these. It's the same thing. Lock out at the top, except to do everything at your knees. All right, guys. So 6B is your improvement. So you should be setting up for something for an improvement. I'd say you should write down what you want to do each day, stick to it, make sure you get it done, because then by the end of it, you're supposed to see improvement. If you see any improvement, that's great. You have to have some enthusiasm into this. You want to see how big your numbers can get, or how small your times. You want to make sure you're getting improved through these 30 days. So each day, push yourself a little bit harder. Try to get that bigger number. Try to get the shorter time. Try to just improve and show what you guys are made of. Alright guys, now that you have your numbers, your base numbers, you have your improvement, what you want to do, come back in 30 days, complete this again, because you need to for requirement 6C, and that should be good. You should now have completed 6A, B, and C. Thanks guys. What's up?
Okay, guys. The exercise sheet, I'll be posting it and emailing it later today. There's 2 things that you and your parents need to do. You need to map out a 1 mile track in your neighborhood, or your parents can take you out on base if you want to do that and walk around the track there. I recommend you do a track right around your house if you have safe roads to walk or run on. The push-ups is 1 minute. We all know how to do the push-ups. Now with sit-ups, you can do either the sit-ups or the curl-ups. I recommend you all do the sit-ups. And the sit-ups that are done are not the same as was shown in that video. The sit-ups in the book are crossed hands over the chest when you do the sit-up. And you'll see that in the video in a minute that we're going to watch. The other piece of work that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to build a back savers sit and reach box. You're going to need a box, and I'll show you a picture in a minute. I recommend you use an empty beer crate. It's easy to get, it's sturdy. You're going to need to have markings on the top of how many inches, and you'll learn about this in the video in a second. There needs to be 9 inches of the ruler sticking out past the box so that you can measure your reach. On page 79 and 80 of your scout book, it tells you in detail what these exercises look like and how to do them. But first, we'll watch these videos so that you know. Now remember, 2 things you got to do. You got to measure a 1 mile track. 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. And you've got to build this box for the back savers sit and reach. Now you guys should all have that stuff done when you can start exercising tomorrow. Next slide, please. Okay, this video is 3 minutes. It's going to show us curl-ups. This is an alternative if you have a bad back, but I recommend you guys all do sit-ups and not the curl-ups. Let's watch the video first.
The curl-up is the only test option used to measure abdominal strength and endurance in the FitnessGram. The goal of the curl-up is to complete as many curl-ups as possible, up to a maximum of 75, and to do so at a set cadence or pace, so the cadence CD. The warm-up is important to performance on the curl-up. Remember, the goals of the warm-up are to prepare the body for the activity, improve performance, and reduce injuries. Prior to the beginning of the curl-up, the examiner needs to ensure that each student has a partner. One student will perform the curl-up, while the partner will help the examiner watch for form breaks. The student performing the test lies with his back to the mat and face looking up. The knees are bent at a 140-degree angle, with feet flat on the mat, legs slightly apart. The arms are kept straight and parallel to the trunk, with the palms of the hands resting on the mat. The fingers are stretched out and the head is in contact with the mat. Once the student performing the curl-ups assumes the correct position, the partner places the measuring strip on the mat and under the bent legs. The measuring strip is moved so that the fingertips are just touching the nearest edge of the strip. The audio CD cadence will indicate up, down, and the number of curl-ups completed. With the pace called on the CD, students are signaled to start and perform each curl-up slowly.
We'll begin the curl-ups now. Ready? Begin. Up, down, 1, up, down, 2.
Movement should start with a slow curling up of the upper spine.
Up, down, 4, up.
The fingers should slide across the measuring strip
Up,
until the fingertips reach the other edge of the strip.
up,
The student then slowly curls back down until the head touches the mat.
down, 8.
Heels should be kept in contact with the mat at all times, and movement should be slow and continuous.
Down.
The protocol is quite different from the familiar and fast-paced sit-ups. Form breaks occur when the student's heels are no longer in contact with the mat, when the head does not touch the mat as the student curls back down, when movements become jerky, when the student stops to rest, when the student cannot keep up with the cadence, and when the fingertips do not touch the other edge of the strip. The examiner signals to the partner when a form break has occurred. The student is stopped when the second form break occurs, when the student can no longer continue, or when the student completes the limit of 75 curl-ups. The score for the curl-up is the number of curl-ups performed. The first form break or incorrect curl-up is counted in the score. It is important for the examiner to apply this scoring procedure consistently across all students. The examiner records this score as students complete the test. If the number of curl-ups completed is within or exceeds the range of the healthy fitness zone for the student's gender and age, the student meets the performance standard and should continue doing regular physical activity. If the number of curl-ups falls below the range of the healthy fitness zone, this indicates that the student would benefit from physical activities designed to improve abdominal strength and endurance. This video was developed to help ensure the curl-up is administered in a manner consistent with the FitnessGram Test Administration Manual. The curl-up is the only test option used to measure abdominal strength and endurance in the FitnessGram. The goal of the curl-up is to complete as many curl-ups as possible, up to a maximum of 75, and to do so at a set cadence or pace. So the cadence CD. The warm-up is important.
Position yourself on top of the mat, crossed arms across the chest. Head must come back and touch the mat every single time you roll back. Knees are bent, feet are in contact with the floor at all times. Toes can be up or down. Upon lifting, roll up high enough to touch your elbows to the thighs and roll back down.
We'll begin the curl-ups now. Ready? Begin. Up, down, 1, up, down, 2, up, down, 3, up, down, 4, up, down, 5.
Okay, guys, this is the box you're going to need to build for the back saver sit and reach. On the top is one made out of plywood. You'll notice that the lip that sticks out is 9 inches long. Same on the beer crate on the bottom. You can just use some cardboard on the top to attach your ruler to and have 9 inches of the ruler sticking out. So it'll measure your reach. It'll take you about 30 minutes to make this box, and you'll be able to use it during the different ranks while you're doing your physical training. If you have any questions on this box, then contact me. I'll post a picture of it on the chat site so that you know what to do. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the back saver sit and reach exercise. It's a 4-minute video.
The Back Saver Sit and Reach is one of the test options used to measure flexibility in the FitnessGram. The Back Saver Sit and Reach test provides a reasonably accurate measure of the flexibility of the hamstring muscles. This test is very similar to the traditional sit and reach, except that the measurement is performed on one side at a time, and this test is done one leg at a time. This is done so that the asymmetry in hamstring flexibility can be determined and hyperextension of the knee is avoided. The goal of the Back Saver Sit and Reach is for the student to be able to reach a specified distance on the left and right sides of the body. The maximum reach distance on each side is 12 inches. To administer the Back Saver Sit and Reach, the examiner needs a special sturdy box, which can be purchased or made to the appropriate specifications. Instructions for making this box to the required specifications are included in the FitnessGram Test Administration Manual. Some school districts have had these boxes made by the maintenance staff or in woodshop classes. The examiner also needs copies of score recording sheets. Before the day of the test, students should be provided with opportunities to practice the Back Saver Sit and Reach. Because this test will require students to take off their shoes, Advance notification helps ensure students will come prepared on the day of the test with appropriate socks. The warm-up is important to performance on the back saver sit and reach. Remember, the goals of the warm-up are to prepare the body for the activity, improve performance, and reduce injuries. For the back saver sit and reach, the examiner should only test one student at a time. Having multiple boxes allows some students to remove their shoes and get ready for the testing while another student is being tested. To prepare for the test, the student sits facing the front of the box with the zero end of the ruler nearest the student. Next, the student squares his hips to the box for proper body alignment by sitting with both legs extended forward and both feet placed flat against the front of the box. For consistency in administration, the examiner has the student begin the test with the left side. The student flexes the right knee and places the sole of the right foot flat on the floor about 2 to 3 inches to the side of the extended knee. The arms are extended forward and over the ruler or measuring scale with one hand directly on top of the other, palms down. Next, with the back straight and head up, the student slowly reaches directly forward and back along the scale 4 times and holds the forward position of the fourth reach for at least 1 second so the examiner can determine and record the reach distance. During the reach, the knee of the extended leg should remain straight and the sole of the other foot must remain flat on the floor. After measuring one side, the student again squares the hips to the box, checking for proper body alignment before switching the position of the legs so that the right leg is extended and the left is bent. The student performs the back saver sit and reach on the right in exactly the same manner as on the left. Form breaks occur when the hands do not reach forward evenly, when the back is not kept straight or the head kept up during the forward movement, when the extended knee flexes, or when the sole of the foot does not stay in contact with the ground. If a form break occurs, the student should be given another trial. Scoring on the back saver sit and reach is done by recording the number of inches reached for the left side and for the right side to the nearest half inch. The maximum score per side is 12 inches. 2 scores will be recorded. If the reach distance for both left and right sides meets or exceeds the distance of the healthy fitness zone for the student's gender and age, the student meets the performance standard and should continue doing regular physical activity. If the student's reach distances for either side or both sides do not meet the healthy fitness zone, this indicates that the student would benefit from physical activities designed to improve hamstring flexibility. This video was developed to help ensure the back saver sit and reach is administered in a manner consistent with the FitnessGram Test Administration Manual and California Physical Fitness Test Regulations and Guidance. For more information about the physical fitness test, we encourage you to visit the California Department of Education PFT webpage.
Okay, guys, there's a picture of the box. One time, so you know how to make it. Remember, it's 9 inches that sticks out from the box. Next slide, please. Okay, next week, your homework is to bring a rope or a string. We're going to be working on square knot, taut line hitch, and the 2/2 hitch. And we're going to be demonstrating those next week. So bring a string. Also, you need a stick. Now, you can bring a pencil if you want. A pencil will work just fine to wrap the string around. The other thing that we're going to do next week is we're going to learn how to sharpen axes, knives, and saws. And we're going to be picking leadership positions for some of you. Not all of you will have a leadership position for the next few months. Do I have any questions from anybody? Any questions, guys? Okay, Vince. No, not Vince. Let's see. Let's do a closing ceremony. Who wants to volunteer to lead that? You don't want to volunteer, Philip? I see you hiding. Okay, Vince, would you lead the closing ceremony, please? Vince, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, would you conduct the closing ceremony, please?
All right, sure. All right, everyone, please unmute your mics. All right. Cross your hands. With me, we say, may the great Scoutmaster of all Scouts be with us until we meet again. Troop 485, dismiss.
Okay, guys, thank you. See you next week, 9 o'clock.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.